Okay, this is Hannes. He's the builder of our beautiful shed. So we'll get him to tell us the story of this shed.
Alright, so this is greenhouse garden shed, greenhouse in the front and garden shed for tools and shelter in the back, and a overhang space in the back as well for storing things. So basically this building is a lot different to the house buildings that are going on in New Zealand nowadays. We're using macro copper and Douglas fir for our it's our first timber choice because it's weatherproof, and we're also using for plaster. We decided to use lime for a lime pumice mix, which is pumice from our earth and hydrated lime soaked for all surfaces which might make it in contact with water. And for the inside plaster we used a clay mix from a local clay resource, mixed with our pumice sand as well, and mixed with wood shavings that we gathered while doing the woodworking for this building, and also with local hay dried for the walls. And this is quite a bit different to the New Zealand buildings going on nowadays, because what they would use instead is treated timber. They would use acrylic plasters and paints. They would use a lot of concrete, and they would use chipboarding, lining, and yeah, and that's all. That there are quite a few disadvantages of this type of building, because it's quite toxic, the materials, and it's not locally resourced. So what we're trying to do is having a low impact house. So for example, we're getting our pumice right off the earth and using it for our building, and we're trying to having no toxic gases in our house, and so we can live healthy. Yeah. So maybe we have a look inside. What this is looking like. So what you see here is the garden bit that I finished yesterday, which is going to be here, and this is the soldier fly farm, and this is going to be the place for a wicking bed. So there's going to be a stainless steel container.
Just a shallow tray, yeah.
Yeah, shallow tray for the wicking beds, and on top you see a like a place for storage for drying onions, garlic, and I did some research on the internet, but I couldn't find any building that was really any greenhouse that was built with just with glass sheets. And so what I did is I cut it grooves into the studs, well into the rafters, and slided them then from the top with the glass sheets in, and sealed them on the joints. And this was probably the most trickiest part of that building, but as we see now, it's worth it, because it's just not just a different look than if we would have used plastic, but it's also there are also no chemicals, and it just feels good to be in there. So the wild man. This is from my Franconian home. They're the old buildings, which are 200 years to even 800 years old. They would have used patterns for doing the studs and the bracings. And this is a pattern that I just took, which is called the wild man, which is basically this man standing here like this, which is basically the middle stud and the four bracings. And the wild man is kind of like the symbol for the wilderness, and for the rough nature, and what carpenters used to do in the older times, and what I did here now is showing respect to the nature, and with this trying to save this building from getting wrecked down by rough winds and by rain and hail. So yeah, that's kind of a bit of a symbol for this building. So what you see here is in between the panels, and there are several sticks that are called in German Staken. So they are nailed to the studs and are the reinforcement. So, and then we put either a clay paper pulp plaster between them, or we wrap, like you see it here, hay around the sticks and plaster over it. So here you can see this panel, for example, has that hay underneath. You can't see it anymore because the plaster is sticking very well to the hay. And this is just a clay, paper pulp, and pumice sand and wood shaving plaster. So it's all local resource, and yeah.
And that wall still has to have a finish over it.
Yeah. So those parts you can see they're gonna look like this part here, and so we're going to finish this off. And also on the other side, there are also patterns. They are so when we set the bracings, we always set them to the outside of the building. So this points at the top to the outside of the building, points to the outside of the building, and yeah, there's quite a lot of I find I feel quite connected to my ancestors when I use the same patterns than they used, and yeah, makes me feel very connected to them.